Hello, everyone. If you're wondering what this shirt is, it says Consumi's River Preserve. It's another park-related shirt. I have several of them. I totally don't have a one-track mind, but, Anyway, where were we last week? We were talking about, shopping and stuff. Yeah, I wanted to continue that a little bit, but I wanted to go on to a different track after that. But I did want to talk about the I almost said El Cerrito Plaza. No, I don't want to talk about El Cerrito Plaza, although I'm probably going to a little bit later, but I wanted to talk about the El Portal Shopping Center because it's kind of not there anymore. I mean, it is and it isn't because the El Portal Shopping Center, actually, it's in storage right now, but I'm probably going to have access to my storage after the new year. So I'll probably be able to finally find this and maybe in a later vlog, not here, obviously, I'll be able to show this to you. But it's an old map of San Pablo from the early 70s sometime, and it has a listing of all the businesses in town. And that thing is like going back in time because San Pablo's kind of gotten a little depressed since then. But yeah, there was a lot of shops and restaurants there downtown, and it used to be pretty booming. It's just really nostalgic for me to look at it. Oh, Larson's Tropical Fish. It just makes me think of my tropical fish collecting days, which are, yeah, probably pretty much over. But the El Portal Shopping Center, and this is going to tie in to what we're talking about, but they used to have a department store called Newberry's, and this apparently was a chain. But originally, and this was only when I was very young, but Newberry's had been there for a long time, like well into the 90s. I remember buying this ugly-ass umbrella one time when I was going to school out there and didn't have, got caught in a downpour, just got this ugly-ass green and white umbrella. And how come, like, whenever you have something that you like, it breaks immediately, but when you get something that you don't want, it just lasts forever? And that one lasted for an eternity. And I was just like, come on, break, it's windy today, break! And I had a friend who said, oh, I like it, I think it's festive. And it's just like, well, you want it? But that's not what I wanted to talk about. It's like, when I was very young, Newberry's had a cafeteria off to the side, and I don't remember the food so much. I mean, it's cafeteria food, so I don't imagine it was very good. But the thing I mainly remember about it was they had this tile mosaic of this, stereotypical Dutch scene with a big windmill and girl with pigtails and clogs and one of those winged Dutch hats. I don't know whatever happened to that. I guess it's just gone. Like Newberry's is gone. Like most of the old stuff from San Pablo is gone. But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Just like old, restaurants and places that aren't there anymore. Because I was thinking, speaking of El Cerrito, Doggie Diner used to be right there. It was like on San Pablo and Fairmont. Or San Pablo and Central. I'm not exactly sure. It's somewhere in that general area. But I remember going there. And I remember one time, for some reason, it was like we were there with my cousins and their parents, my aunt and uncle. And there was a payphone out in front of the Doggie Diner. And they're playing on the phone. They're calling the operator going, what? And phone rings a couple seconds later. And my cousin answers it. And I say, what did she say? And she said, don't play on the phone. And I was thinking, well, yeah, duh. But Doggie Diner is kind of infamous because they had like the giant dog head. It was like a wiener dog head with a chef's hat. And those things have become, collectible in demand. The one out on Sloat across from the zoo in San Francisco, that one's still there. The head is still there. Of course, Doggie Diner is long gone. And there's one, I think, out in Campbell where they took it indoors and it's inside the Streetlight Records. There's the Streetlight Records there on Bascom. It's inside there in the corner. But I have no idea what happened to the one in El Cerrito. It's probably just long gone, like the mosaic at Newberry's. But the other thing that was in El Cerrito was Kirby's coffee shop. It was one of those old style coffee shops, and it was right there in the El Cerrito Plaza. And again, long gone. That was because the other restaurant that was kind of like Kirby's was Vips rather. We'll get to that later. But Vips, there was one in San Pablo, which was I think like right there on Van Ness and Market, and that was the one that everyone knows. But there was one in Pinole too. There's one in Pinole Valley, sort of down from the high school and across the street. And I remember when Vips went out of business, they became Zips. And then it was like the Waffle House or something for a while, but it was like a few things, and it's currently a Sherwin-Williams paint store. But the other thing I remember about San Pablo is they had a Sambo's. Remember Sambo's? They were kind of like Denny's, but good. But everyone says, oh, they can't be Sambo's anymore because it's racist. And well, yeah and no. But they had the little black Sambo thing around, like on a mural around the thing. But they didn't do it in the racist caricature style because they did it the original way with the Indian boy. So, but yeah, I remember having many a breakfast there, and around the 80s or so, after like there were so many complaints, it got shortened to Sam's, and then just kind of went out of business. I have no I seem to remember reading up on the history of Sambo's, and I think it originated out of Santa Barbara. Don't quote me on that. But was there any other? There probably are some other retro California food places that I'm missing. I'd say Foster Freeze, but the one in Pinole at least is still there. There's a bunch of them that are still there. There's a bunch of them that aren't there anymore, like the one in El Sobrante, which is on the dam road there, the San Pablo Dam Road. The building's still there. I remember after Foster's Freeze closed there, they repurposed it, and it was the fast food Indian place. What was it called? I can't even remember. It was like Tandoori Takeout or something. I can't remember what it was called, but it was Tandoori something. And I actually like that because at the time Indian food was expensive and rare in the Bay Area. It's just like all the Indian restaurants were insanely expensive. So having like this cheap fast food alternative was for someone like me of lean means, that was actually a big advantage. So I would go there a lot, and after that it was the saddest Subway you've ever seen. And now it's a Mexican restaurant. But are there any other restaurant-y things that I want to talk about? I'm kind of drawing a blank here. I remember I posted that picture of Hacienda that on social media before they tore it down. The Hacienda was this weird Mexican. I'd never actually eaten there. Full disclosure, I've never actually eaten at Hacienda, but it was like this weird bar / Mexican place / dance hall. People were complaining. People were accusing it in the last years of being just a money laundering affront, which I don't know. It might have been, for all I know. But I remember it kind of looked like the Ministry of Love because it was just like this big stone building with no windows, and it had like this red and orange vintage font that said Hacienda. It's just one of those sort of swoopy, very 60s looking fonts. I talked about what was that movie, Poor Devil, last week. It was that kind of font, that sort of like very ornate vintage font. And the one I'm really pissed off that I didn't get a picture of was Nibs. It's down the street. It was down in El Cerrito, down on San Pablo Avenue, sort of across from Schmidt Lane. I think it's a little up from Schmidt Lane or a bit down. I can't remember exactly where it was located. The building's still there, and actually the sign post is still there, but the sign, which had like the word Nibs in a sort of another vintage font, but a different kind of vintage font. I'm certain if you did a search on Nibs, it would probably come up because I'm certain somebody was smart and took a picture of it. Unlike me, who just like was very. I don't know. I was just not smart and just I think it'll always be there, and of course it's not now because the sign's gone. The building's still there. It's like this brick building with these unusual windows. It's very 60s looking, and I actually did eat there a few times. They have they had like a barbecue pit inside, and they would grill burgers on that. So it was nice having these really homemade barbecue grilled hamburgers. But that place is gone now. So at least I got a chance to eat there once before they closed down. I mean, because they were not really doing a good business even when I was there, and that was like 20 years ago. So, but anyway, I think this is enough going down memory lane for now. So we'll just cut it off here. See you around.